Hello there and welcome. This first video I would like to cover a little bit of what I'm going to be doing in the future. Actually quite a big thing that I'm going to be doing in the future. I'll just bring you in a little closer to the screen and I can show you a little better there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of foresight of what I'm planning for the future. One quite big thing that I'm planning, and that is to convert a manual small bench lathe to a CNC metal lathe. So I'll just show you of what I've actually ordered, of two of the items that I'm thinking of ordering, and what I've actually ordered, and what a lot of people don't realize, I suppose, who tune into my videos, is you know, the financial outlay to do a project and to video it. So I'm going to sort of give you some of that information. And as we're talking, my computer is updating Windows, or trying to. So we'll battle on. And that's just one of the things that you come against, you know. You video in something, then your computer will start to do something, you have to stop. Anyway, so at the moment, see what I mean? I had all this prepared. Right. So I am at the moment considering two lathes from two manufacturers, and that is the SIG SC3 high torque version with a 500 watt drive motor. It's, for its size, the lathe, it's a fairly useful size, and it lends itself to modifying to a CNC lathe. And they're a well-made unit. The little SIG mini mill that I converted to CNC already, it's the same company, and it's a very similar job actually. And the price of the little SIG is, I mean, you just get the top part of it, you don't get a base or anything, is nearly $1,300. So I'm looking at that one. I'm quite happy with that one. Or there's this one from Hare and Forbes. It's a very similar size, and it's a very similar price. There's not much in between them. They're manufactured in a very similar way. They're all cast iron. So they're both a very similar price and a very similar machine, and they both lend themselves to converting quite well. Now that is the basic machine then. So that's your base model. So then there's everything you need to convert it. Or should we say a lot of the hardware that you need. And that is the stepper motor units, and these are identical to the, excuse the dog in the background, we've got about an acre out that side of the workshop that the dogs roam freely, and they look after us in the household here. And of course, if you know, a neighbour 10 miles away slams the door shut on their car, the dog goes off. But it's a necessary thing that you have to have these days, I think. Anyway, so these are the drivers. These talk to the motors via the computer. This is a breakout board that I don't like. I'll talk about that again in a minute. So these stepper motors are ones that I normally use. The NEMA 23s, and this is the power unit that supplies them. So there's that, and that's 524. So you can see the cost is going up, and we've just added. Then there's the zero backlash ball screws. So I'll be using 2 of those, one at 1 meter long, I've already ordered, and one at 300, I believe, yeah, no, 350, and one at 350, so that's another $150. And then there's the breakout board. Now I always use these. I know I'm only going to be using 2 axes for a lathe, but I always buy the 4 axes card, because if something goes wrong with one of my other machines, I can swap it out of one machine and put it straight into another. So, you know, there's no waiting for 3 or 4 weeks for one to come from China or anything like that. All these are made in China. If this was made in the United States or in England or indeed Australia, it would be 3 times that price, unfortunately. So yes, so you can see a relatively simple conversion on a small lathe. It's going to cost me to do it. You know, sort of plus all the aluminium and this, that and the other that you've got to make the kit. Probably I'm looking at $3,000 plus. Then of course there's the cost of, you know, you'd have to buy a computer to run it. Also, you know, also there's the video making then. Per video I devote on average about 12 hours, sometimes much longer, but an average video running for about 20 minutes you're going to spend 12 hours on. Most of that is filming, and obviously the rest is editing and loading it up to YouTube, although loading it up to YouTube, it only takes about an hour really. So there's a little bit of insight as to what my next job is going to be. And of course I am pre-ordering. I've pre-ordered a lot of this. The only item that I have to order now, and I will be doing that today, is the lathe unit when I've decided which one I'm going to go with. So everything will be here over the next 4 to 5 weeks. So I'm planning for videos 4 or 5 weeks in advance. So you know, you have to plan on purchasing and arrival dates before you can actually plan to make a video. So I would consider to do the full conversion would take at least 6 videos. And of course then there's the setting up. There will be a total video for setting up and tuning it in and how to do it with Mark III. And oh, that's another thing too. I do plan on converting one of my machines, probably the small CNC mill, to Mark IV. I don't know why Mark IV really hasn't taken off, because I can't really see anything wrong with it. I haven't got it myself yet, but I do plan on getting it. So that's another thing for the future. And anyway, we're going off subject a little. So there you go. It's there's quite a process into, especially with quite a large job. There's a lot of planning that's required for weeks and sometimes months in advance. So with the help of my patrons, you guys, you know, this makes life for me a little easier, and it ensures that this channel will continue in this form and hopefully improved. In the future, I will put plans on Patreon for you. And the first set of plans that I plan to put up is the pin board that I made for my laser. Actually, I'll just go and get it. Okay, so here's the pin board. And why this is made like this is because I don't know whether you're interested in lasers or not, but so what happens is you put a piece of card or paper in here, and I've got this on here now. This is called a fence. Same as in woodwork, it's a fence. It just something to hold it up against and to keep it nice and square, because the end of the nozzle of the laser has got air coming out of it, an air blast, and it blows the paper around otherwise. And the reason you have it up on these pins is because if this was flat down on the metal, it actually burns the underside and it can make quite a mess. So you make a pin board like this, and really this is just rivets, pop rivets, and this is just acrylic plastic, and it's very easily made, and that's what it does. And you'll notice a little bit of trivia here, interesting trivia. Now you'll notice it's smoky looking, especially along the back here. Actually, that's my fingerprints. Now what I used when I put this together, I initially just put the rivets in there, and the paper was moving. The rivets were actually moving, and it was making the paper move. I thought, oh well, that's no good. So I've actually glued every one of these in, and they're glued in with super glue, actually, CA glue. And the same as this is glued on with CA glue because it's what I had here, and it wasn't purpose glue for acrylic plastic. And what it did was the gases evaporating off the super glue stuck to the acrylic plastic, and actually the fingerprints of that I left behind show up. And that is the very same process that the investigation people for the police and other organizations, FBI and CIA and the CID, that is the very same process that they use to gather fingerprints on items. They use CA glue, and whatever the item is, a glass or whatever, they put into an enclosure, and they just have a little pot of CA glue, and they leave that evaporate overnight, and it attaches to the object and it shows up the fingerprints if you can't dust them. So there's a little bit of trivia, and it's actual knowledge that I'm full of, because my background is developing shall we say new technologies for these groups. So that's how I became an inventor. So you've got a lot of knowledge in a very short space of time in who I am, I suppose, and what I do is bye for now.